Jennifer Tardy here, and welcome to another YouTube video. I am your career success coach, and you are on the Black Career Success channel. So today we're going to talk about how to impress them once an interview is done. What do you need to do, and what are those things that you need to think about? I have 3 tips here for you, so make sure you tune in all the way through so that you hear all 3 tips, and I'll even share with you one of my own stories at the very end. Don't forget, if you like this video, subscribe to the channel because we always have plenty of other videos to show you. So, the very first thing is, after an interview is completed, always send a note to say thank you. And in that note, you're saying, I appreciate you putting aside time. I know you have a busy schedule, so I want to say thank you for interviewing me for such and such position. And then within that same note, finish a conversation that you started during the interview. And this is how you personalize that note, and this is what makes the interviewer actually pay attention because it's unlike the norm. Let's say within the conversation, the person who was interviewing you mentioned something about a pitfall that they experienced on a previous job. You, in your thank you letter to them, you'll say, and you know, I sincerely appreciate you sharing with me the pitfall that you experienced at your last company. What made you decide to make the decisions that you made after that pitfall? Did you see what just happened? So now, not only did you continue a conversation, which shows that you were listening and paying attention, the second thing that you did is you're showing your engagement and your curiosity to know more, and you're asking them a question. And odds are, as they are reading through the email, because you've personalized it, they want to respond to your question. And so by that way, you're keeping the conversation going. Now, the third thing that I recommend for people, but this isn't for everybody, is fill in a gap in your thank you letter. So let's say, for instance, your interviewer asked you a question and either you didn't have the data that you needed to answer the question, or you didn't really know the answer to the question, or maybe you just didn't answer it the way that you really knew you could answer that question in that moment. Your thank you note to them should easily answer that question, and it will go a little something like this. Hey, by the way, I know that you asked me about such and such. I just wanted to clarify briefly. And then you're able to answer the question. So that way, any sort of question marks that were left behind by way of how you answered the interview question on site, you now close the gap there. So those are the 3 tips that I have for you by way of staying connected and continuing the conversation after your interview. Be sure to use them and make sure, even though I've given you those 3 points, that you are still concise in your thank you letter to your hiring manager. Remember, they don't have a lot of time to read through a very, very long email. So it should be a very brief email addressing those 3 points. And I know that I said that I have a funny story to share with you. I decided to take my own advice a while back, and I made a really big error, and which is why you'll understand why I shared a piece of this advice with you before. There was one job that I was overly interested in. I knew that this job was for me. I saw my name written all over the job, but I didn't know if I did that well in the interview. So do you know what I did after the interview? I sent a thank you letter. And in that thank you note to the hiring manager, I said, I appreciate you interviewing me. I love talking about this. And by the way, here are all the other qualifications that I forgot to mention when we were in the interview together. And it was a long email. And I remembered her sending me an email back, and her first sentence was, "Do not ever send me an email this long again." And what was great about that is that she was open to responding to all of my questions, knowing just how busy she was. So that said a lot about her as a manager as well too. But I found it funny because I, learn from trial and error, as we all do. And that's why I share with you that even though you can get someone to respond, make sure your response or your thank you note is concise, is short, brief, and to the point. Don't make the same error that I made. All right, so if you like this video, again, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Black Career Success Channel. Again, I am your career success coach. I am Jennifer Tardy. I'll see you at the next video. Take care.